I honestly can't think of another scenario, another automaker that has one vehicle that is as important and significant to it than this 2023 Outlander plug-in hybrid is to Mitsubishi. I mean, this one single SUV is the flagship, the the most technologically advanced, the most expensive, the most loaded, the most absolute everything for this automaker that it really doesn't have the option to fail. So important is this vehicle that Mitsubishi and the rest of the gang at the Alliance invested heavily into bringing this vehicle up to level, at least way up, well, many levels above where the first generation Outlander PHEV was, despite the changes that took place during its tenure. And I have to say that now, after 5 days, for the most part, this vehicle is delivering on absolutely everything. The one difficulty, the one barrier is if you kind of look around the Outlander, I mean, you can see that it is winter. Today it's not that cold. It's -1 degrees Celsius, which works out to like 31 degrees Fahrenheit. Yesterday, mind you, it was 7 degrees Celsius, which I think works out to like 42 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's, well, for February, that's pretty damn warm. What I'm trying to say is that, what you plug in here, right? The plug-in hybrid aspect is providing everything except petrol-free driving for any amount of distance. And that is probably due to the weather. Fact is that in Illinois, New York, Vermont, even Massachusetts, any other state, Ontario, Quebec, whatever, these are actual real driving conditions. So it's not an isolated issue. I kind of went off there. Apologies. What I'm trying to say is that this is a far, far better Outlander PHEV than it previously was. But it still has a few shortcomings. In the following video, as per the norm, we'll do a walk around. I mean, I drove the new Outlander last year. So, what you see other than maybe this, is pretty much identical to the regular Outlander, especially in the case of a GT like this one, which I drove a GT last year as well. But still, there are a few differences, especially when it comes to the technology on board. And then we'll take it for a drive, as per. So please hang in there. Here we go. Alrighty then, let's just jump right into pricing in the US. Base price for the Mitsubishi 2023 Outlander PHEV starts at $39,845. Tops out at $49,995. In Canada, the ESS all-wheel control starts at $46,538, and the GT Premium, effectively the model you're looking at right now, is $57,048. Before I go into what you get in the base model, I actually surveyed neighbors. I believe it was a little over a dozen total. Asked them what they thought about the styling of the new Outlander, and the majority, in fact, the vast majority, thought it looked pretty good. I will therefore say nothing more, well, at least as far as the front end is concerned. And this seems to be a reoccurring theme because I said essentially the same thing about the Sportage PHEV and the other versions and a few other vehicles. Everything about the rear, the side, it's well sorted. It's visually coherent, and it holds its own. It's just the front end that is, well, you figure it out. Okay, so a base price includes for the ESS all-wheel control 12.3-inch digital IP, 18-inch wheels, an 8-inch display, heated front seats. When you do step into the GT, so you're looking at 20-inch wheels, which come on a lower trim, 10.8-inch heads-up display, Bose audio, the sunshades. The premium, the GT is $56,348. So for an extra $700, you get the two-tone leather seats, which are massaging. I'm so tempted to say a bunch of things about the exterior design, but I don't know. The badge is a little bit odd, but seriously, I mean, when you look at the side of the vehicle, where else you put it? I probably would have set it up down here at the bottom of the door, which would have made it, you know, the lines would have been a little bit cleaner, but that's just me. What the hell do I know? What else? I think that's it. Oh yeah, I want to say that the LES all-wheel control at 51,238 is the best version in my opinion. Heated steering wheel, 9-inch display, navigation, power lift gate. It really is the way to go as far as I'm concerned. Let us continue the tour. So power lift gate, I just mentioned it, so it's obviously included in the GT. So this reveals 872 liters of boot space. Now I want to torture myself for your viewing pleasure, but at the same time, I already did it and I don't feel like doing it again. But this is just to give you an idea of what the third row looks like. Okay, so it's essentially a sandwiched bus bench kind of deal, and it does take up everything in the boot. So you do lose out as far as space is concerned when the third row is up. Obviously the volume goes down, but I went back there, I sat there, I did do the diligent thing and tested it out, and it's not for human adults, and it's for kids at the very best, or essentially only for kids, and even so. But nothing new there as far as that's concerned. That's what it was with the previous generations of the Outlander. You get an idea here of the two-tone leather, which is actually really nice. I mean, the quality, your shades, love those. And it is very, very premium, both to the touch. Yes, I'm not always wearing gloves. Even the plastics are kind of okay. This is an Outlander. I mean, it's not a Mercedes-Benz or something else. Ingress and egress is actually not that bad. The seat is reclining, obviously, to access the third row. So it's slid all the way back now. So like I'm saying, ingress and egress is very easy. The leg room is absolutely generous. It's in fact monstrous. Rear heated seats, there you go. This is just a shot of the dashboard. It's actually quite nice. The two-tone layout and the inlays are very, very pretty. Let's just go in the front. Okay, so here we go. Again, you know, materials, very nice. There's your button for your massaging front seats, which I'll tell you right now, it feels more like the seat is breathing. It's just like some in and out motion. I mean, you know, it's massaging in term, if that makes any sense. Okay, so there is your digital display, obviously. Very colorful, very nice. And it will switch with the various drive modes. I just tried it out and it takes a while, I think, to load before I can actually change the drive modes. So let's switch right here to that. So this is your 9-inch display, which is probably the only shortcoming. Is that even possible? I mean, 9 inches is, it's now normal. I can't believe that. The kind of cheaty part is that, you know, Mitsubishi has a huge panel to make it look like it's a larger menu, but look, honestly, the menus are easy to work, and you have combination hard buttons, which is just absolutely wonderful. Same thing down here, HVAC controls, straightforward, easy to use. That's a big thumbs up from me. I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear that? That is a predominant problem or issue, at least as far as I'm concerned. There's a buzziness, a constant buzzing. And yes, obviously, if I turn off, it goes away. But how noisy is the HVAC system? Okay, so there we go. So your IP, I mean, everything else in the interior, fit finish is very nice. The visibility is quite good, especially thanks to the opening right there. So drive modes. Yeah, let's start with the drive modes. So they will change right here. So I've been in normal almost exclusively. Switching over to eco once in a while, there's a good reason for that. Yes, power. Power is nice, but it's kind of a cheaty thing. I'll explain that in a few moments. But there are many, many drive modes. I don't know that most will ever use, say, that one. This one possibly. This one, I doubt it. Maybe, you know, for improved overall driving experience. I don't know. The other buttons, which are very nice, are this. This, I want to say spatula-like symbol, is actually a one pedal drive. It's not a complete total one pedal drive, but it really enhances regen braking. I'll use it as we drive. And this one, this is your EV mode button, which, you know, save the battery, charge the battery, normal, and full EV if possible. Well, it's not available, I guess, at the moment. Basically, seats are quite comfortable, and the driving is not that bad, so I think we're going to go and hit the road now. The buzzing from the HVAC system is just incredible. It's with the radio turned down, it's crazy. And yes, it's on because it's cold outside. Now, I've been criticized so many times when I talk about you know, PHEVs and range and all that, and well, of course range is going to go down, Matt, you know, it's cold outside. Yes, that's the point. It's cold outside. It's normal. So I'm not benefiting from the full gambit of technologies at my disposal. And I promise you, I'm not trying to sabotage anything. I'm not trying to mess with this. I'm not trying to make it look worse than it is. It's just the fact that in Montana and BC, in I don't know, whatever other state I forgot to mention, Michigan, you know, it gets cold. And the thing with the cold in point, and I understand when you start up a PHEV, in this case, right, the engine has to condition the entire system. The heat has to be put into the workings of the PHEV system. I get it. But the bug is that on these short commutes that PHEVs are supposed to excel at, such as me dropping the kids off at school and daycare, well, I never get more than a few hundred meters of full EV mobility because the engine is running for 8, 10, even more minutes because of the heating and all of that. So I'm not getting, there's no advantage in those short commutes in winter, which happen many months every year for millions and millions and millions of people every year. And it's frustrating, but obviously it's normal because I want to benefit from Mitsubishi's massive efforts in making this plug-in hybrid as best, I think, as good, I think, as it could possibly ever be. I mean, just the various, look, the 7 drive modes, the almost one pedal drive, the various EV modes on top of the drive modes, plus the paddle shifters for the brake regen. I mean, they're working hard at making this a better PHEV. I mean, just a larger battery, 20 kilowatt hours now, and with an estimated 61 kilometers of full electric range, which is like 40% more than it once was. I mean, it's immense. There's so much at work to make this a viable, efficient daily commuter. And for the most part, it absolutely does work, except because of the cold and the HVAC and all of that. I mean, right now I've been driving for about 25 minutes, and I'd say easily in the last few minutes, 90% of my driving has been done on the battery. Speaking of the battery, I mean, every night I plug it in. So on a level 2 home charger, it's 6.5 hours for a full charge. If you're out on the road, DC fast charging, 38 minutes for an 80% top up, which it's all fine, it's all good. And yeah, right now in the city, full EV, and it's wonderful and it's great. So what am I trying to say? The fact is that despite this, the full charging, I'm still averaging over 10 liters per 100 kilometers with this, because, you know, the commutes sometimes are, well, it's winter and speeds are in excess of 110 kilometers an hour, and it's for 35, 40 kilometers per shot. So over 10 kilometers, 10 liters per 100 kilometers. The interesting thing is that Mitsubishi's exact numbers in combined driving for this in liters per 100 kilometers is 9 liters per 100 kilometers, 3.6 liter equivalent per 100 kilometers when you factor in the range and all of that. But this, all of this to say is that the reality, that what a PHEV actually turns out to be, the compromises are that this is still a 4,700 pound SUV that's dragging around all that battery with it all the time. So fuel efficiency will never be very good unless everything is perfect. But look, Mitsubishi has given us so many tools to make it possible. Just the regen braking. Right? There are, what? I didn't even count because I've been essentially letting it do its own thing. So there are like 6 regen modes and the 1 pedal drive. It's completely nuts through the paddles on the steering wheel. And then there's I showed you the EV mode, right? Normal, EV, save and charge. And then you can go from Eco, Sport, Power, and all of that to extract everything you could possibly get from this plug-in hybrid. And it's incredibly involving in the sense that if you do want to average, you know, or get the most efficiency out of it, you got to play with these buttons constantly. And the first thing I did when I picked up this vehicle is I went into Eco Drive mode, because I want to lower my fuel consumption as much as possible. But there's a funny thing that happens, and before I go on with that, this is the most powerful Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV ever. I mean, the more powerful electric motors to go along with a larger battery. I mean, total system output now is 248 horsepower and a, wow, 332 pound-feet of torque. So when you initially get on the throttle, yeah, electric motor torque, it's very, very nice. But in Eco Drive mode, and this is kind of a caution, if you leave it in Eco Drive mode and you want to merge onto the highway or pass, unlike most Eco Drive modes, after a certain threshold, say when a pedal hits the metal, it still won't release the power. Whereas others figure, oh, you know what, this is how much energy or power is required, so we'll back off the Eco Drive mode. So that's why normal has been my go-to drive mode almost exclusively since day one after picking it up. I mean, look, I'm trying my best, and averaging a little over 10 liters per 100 kilometers seems wasteful in many ways, but thankfully, and the ride quality is quite nice, and that despite the 20-inch wheels. The roads now are just wet and cold, and they're not snow covered for the most part, so even when that was the case, ride quality was good. Steering is fine. It's, I'm sure, connected to the front wheels, at least it moves when I move. Brake pedal is fun. Oh, and when you do go into the most aggressive brake regen mode, I've only ever noticed this, I think, in the EQS, the brake pedal physically moves. So when you want to get onto the throttle, or I mean the brake pedal, to come to a full stop, because the 1 pedal drive mode won't bring the Outlander to a full stop, you gotta remember that the pedal is, I don't know, a few centimeters lower than it usually is. But that's something you'll get used to almost immediately when driving the SUV. And driving is what I've been doing, and if it wasn't for winters and the need for HVAC constantly, heating in this case, and a heated steering wheel and heated seats and all that, this would be an incredibly efficient and surprising SUV. Oh, speaking of surprising, The only way you'll get max power is if you go into the power mode. So the name is very accurate. And then other than, peak torque and then rapid drop off and all the other, well, in the normal and eco, in power, energy will be sustained, for a while. So it's okay as far as that's concerned. Still doesn't feel like 332 pound-feet of torque, but again, 4,700 pounds. So in ideal driving conditions, this is a surprisingly competent PHEV. It's got the battery, it's got the range, it's got the premiumness, it's got the refinement. But in winter, I don't think you can beat, in real world fuel consumption, a hybrid, like a RAV4 hybrid or a Sportage hybrid or any other actual hybrid. They'll not beat, in the real world, in all driving conditions and weather conditions, a hybrid will still be better. I'm convinced. Not only that, but MSRP versus MSRP, it's far lower. Yes, you get incentives with this, which you don't get with a hybrid, which I think is kind of wrong. But anyway, valiant, impressive efforts. But I'm still not on board with the PHEV, though my mind does go back and forth. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm done.